Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, she overcame tremendous adversity to become a very successful life coach. Her incredible journey just ahead.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, we hear a lot on the news these days about parenting. If parents are too soft on their kids, if everybody gets an award for showing up at soccer practice, they don't really learn tenacity. They don't learn grit and stick-to-itiveness. My next guest knows this very well because she came up through the school of hard knocks. Tameka Denise is a very successful life coach. She's in the studio right now. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So let's talk about your upbringing because you were raised by your grandma.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. What was she like?
Oh, hard, stern woman. Very hard and stern. Faith. She actually put God first in everything that she did. A praying woman who believed in family, who believed to make sure that we stay united, love. And she was just hardcore.
And she was taking care of you and your siblings?
Oh, yeah, 5. I have 5 siblings.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
And that's a lot to put on a grandma.
Yes, it is.
But she just didn't let you guys have any slack, did she?
Not at all. Not at all.
All right. Tell me one of your favorite memories of your grandma.
Oh, I remember when I was 5 years old and I was at school and kids used to bully me. We were living in poverty. We did not have a lot. And I remember coming home and I was crying. I had my jacket over my head trying to hide my facial expressions. And my grandma said, "What's wrong?" I was like, "The kids keep bothering me. They keep bullying me, but I'm not doing anything." And my grandma, I never forget, she pushed my chin up and she removed my jacket from over my head. And she told me, "Wipe your tears." And she said, "If they're not talking about you, that means you're not doing anything." And from that day forward, she told me, "Always keep your head up and remember that if you're doing something major, then they got to talk about you."
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And I want you to talk about how you built a very successful insurance business.
Yes, sir.
And that came very organically. Talk about how that happened.
Yeah, so actually years before my grandmother passed away, she said she had been praying to God and God had told her about her life insurance policies. Now, she had a life insurance policy on like everybody in the family. She believed if somebody passed away, we're going to have some life insurance. And so she said to me, "I need you to come be with my insurance agent." And I was like, okay. So one morning before I went to work, I had to be at work from 12 to 8 that day. I'll never forget. I said, "I can come." She said, "As long as I don't want to be a burden." She never wanted to be a burden. And so I came and she called her life insurance agent to meet us on that Monday morning. And she felt like that my uncle had took out a policy on her that she did not authorize because of her premium payment went up. And so lo and behold, I'll never forget, the lady was sitting at the kitchen table with my grandmother and I, and she was scrolling through the life insurance policies. And I said, "Stop right there." She passed through one real fast. And I said, "What is that policy?" And I started reading it to my grandmother because she was blind. And my grandma said, "I never took that policy out." The lady said 3 months prior, my uncle took it out without my grandmother's permission. Crazy part about it, I did not know that my grandma was introducing me to my industry of life insurance because I was not a licensed life insurance agent at that time. And I thought about it like, oh my God, it's people out here in the world who are doing elders like this, and they're opening up policies for people, but they're paying the premium. So I'm a big person. Elders are my babies, and I don't want nobody to go through that.
And you're just naturally gifted in the insurance, the way your brain works. It comes natural to you, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Okay, so then you hired a life coach at one point.
I did.
And that changed your life. So talk about that.
Yeah, so my life coach, she was from Detroit, Michigan.
Oh,
so
cool.
2 years prior, she had DM'd me on Facebook, and she was telling about her life coaching sessions, and I wasn't interested because I didn't feel at that time I needed a life coach. And then she followed back up with me. like 2 years later. And she said, I'm just following up or whatever. And at that time, something dawned on me, like, I need a life coach, because my life at that time was going through some detrimental times that I couldn't explain.
Sure. Okay, so then after that experience, you said, I could probably become a life coach myself.
Yeah, I did.
And tell me about that process, and do you remember your first client?
Yes, I do. So that process happened. So she had told me that I had a voice. So I have always did public speaking from church. My grandma kept us in church. So we had to do the Easter speeches, the Christmas speeches. We had to memorize them by heart. So I was in theater arts in middle school and high school. And so she told me, I think you can be a life coach. And I was like, well, what would I teach people? She said, Tameka, your life, listen to everything you're saying. You're blessing people. I never looked at it like that. And so once I got completed with her 4-month course, I started promoting myself before the 4 months was over with. Wow. And people started registering just to do the masterclass, the free masterclass. And then my first course was 15 women.
Nice.
Yeah.
And that had to feel special.
It did.
We've got some pictures. She's great with graphic art. And so here on her different Facebook and Instagram pages, she has all this wonderful artwork. Talk about what it's like to coach women. Do you specialize in women?
Yes, I do. It's because I see me in so many of them. As I was sharing with you earlier, Jeff, I'm like, I had to go through that because it's people coming to me now. And what I love most about it, I'm not talking about because my friend told me they went through this and they said it happened like this, or my grandmother went through this. I'm speaking from my heart when I'm helping women, and I'm telling them just because this is how I went through it, it doesn't mean you're going to go through the same thing. But what I can do is coach you through it because I lived it. So I'm not a hypocrite or contradictory to what I'm preaching, teaching, and coaching the people.
Yeah, I love that because there's so many experts out there that read a bunch of books, but they didn't live it.
Yeah.
There's a big difference between somebody who has street smarts and somebody who has book smarts, right?
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. Well, I want to talk about your good friend Barbara Patterson because she has a very successful show here on our network called In These Uber Streets. We're going to show some video because you were on her show not long ago. Tell me about Barbara. How did you meet? And tell us about this show.
Shout out to Miss Barbara Patterson. I met her in the Uber. So it was one morning, Jeff, I did not want to get up. And my daughter had to go to school, and I was fussing at her because the teacher kept calling me. She was talking too much in class, but we see where she get it from. I talk a lot. And so I was telling her, don't know how these teachers call me. And Barbara was our Uber driver. And Barbara was like, oh, have a nice day at school, baby, when she got out the car. And then from there, Barbara asked me, do you believe in Jesus Christ? So we started talking. Lo and behold, y'all, we was like, what's your social media, tag? What's your page? And we was already social media friends. And so from there, we became more close. And when I started in ministry, she came to support me in my church. And from there, we've been close.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned your faith. Let's talk about your faith and the role it plays in your life.
God is everything. Like, without God, I have nothing. Like, I'm nothing without him. And so if God is not before me, I always pray, Holy Spirit, go before me. Go ahead and check out the scene. And he will stop me. If something is in the way or something is going to hinder me, he will make sure that I take a detour. He'll make sure he just pauses me. Do nothing if God is not in it. The Bible declares, if God be for me, who can be against me?
Describe what does a perfect coaching client look like for you?
Perfect. So I have two. So some come for life coaching and mentorship. So it's basically getting their life back on track. The faith, believing in themselves, confidence, reading the Bible, showing up for themselves, knowing the promises they made to their family and themselves. And then I have the business side of it. And the business side is people who saying, look, my business is not coming off the ground. I know I can do it. I did it before. I deal with people who had a business before. It didn't work out. Some people are starting new. So it really varies.
Yeah. Right before the show, you were telling me one of your favorite success stories. Will you share that with the audience?
Yeah. So it was actually a lady, and she was actually in North Carolina. And she was my first mentee. And she had already been in life insurance for her husband. She just had got her license. And she was like, I just want to be able to give the world what I have. She had already been to college. So she got her degree in business. And she was like, but how do I put this in a business course to help people build their business? So it was all about format. So I helped her build her business course, ebooks, etc. And then from there, she took out. Matter of fact, her business is booming, like doing better than mine. I don't compare, but a lot of people, they only want to give a little bit of information because they're intimidated and they're afraid of this person may go higher. I don't care if somebody make it to the top before me because I'm a crybaby. So I'm a cry just happy like they made it. They started believing in themselves because it's about the faith.
That's beautiful. Okay, we're in the final 2 minutes of the show, so look into the camera on the left and talk to the young person or woman who is struggling with something right now, either personally or professionally.
Whatever you're going through, it's necessary. Pray. Even if you don't have the words to say, just God, come into my heart, come into my mind, creating me a clean heart. Whatever has got in my mind, self-sabotage, worry, stress, or fear, the Bible declares that God has not given us a spirit of fear, but a power, love, and a sound mind. So anything you put your minds to, I can do all things through Christ Jesus who strengthens me. Go forward. Be great. You only get one life.
Wow, what a mic drop moment. We're going to end with her website, which is thetamekadenise.com. Tameka Denise, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
You bet. That's it for now.